Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is going to be a fun topic to discuss. It's kind of debate-like. We're going to kind of give our side. Definitely jump in the comments and weigh in. Let us know what you think. This is something that has been going around for a while. And then I just recently was watching Pixel Plus and their new podcast, and they weighed in on this topic. And I've had views on this topic, and I just... some of our more recent videos about, you know, physical games disappearing and does video game collecting suck now and things like that, where I don't think it does, and people say yes it does. YouTubers have ruined the hobby.
Dude, that's such a wild statement to me. I don't think that's true at all. It's so weird. I mean, we're gonna dive into it, but it's so weird that you can let an external thing that you can't control ruin something for yourself. that doesn't make any sense to me. You know, yeah, obviously it's different than it was.
Yeah.
Things change, things are more expensive, but not everything is. Dude, there's so many amazing, if you want to get retro, cheap games. So many amazing cheap games on the PS2. So many amazing cheap modern games.
So
it's what?
So we can concede to the fact. So we're hearing it in the comment section. We're hearing it. There's fellow collectors we've heard it from, and some of that's in the comment sections, or whether it be at conventions or whatnot. But let's kind of walk it back and really, you know, is it the content creators, the YouTubers, that are the ones ruining this hobby, or per se ruining the hobby, or is it just the age of information and the internet? And we've got these devices in our phones. You know, I guess I personally think that it's more the conduit of fast information and awareness that is, I'm not going to say ruining anything, changing things.
It's changing it, obviously, because anybody can now look something up on the internet and be like, what is this worth? What is this worth? I think it adds value to everybody. And obviously people are like, oh, N64, that's worth a ton. And it might not be, you know, so they're not doing their research entirely. Or there's been like massive news stories that like gamers don't, like non-gamers will be like, Mario sold for that much?
Well, I think
and it's just like, what?
That's a really good point, because, you know, that there was the Super Mario Brothers, and then there was the big news story about Mario 64. Yeah. And I was at a garage sale just recently, and if you've seen our YouTube shorts, it was that sale that I picked that stuff up. And I thought the sale was going to be a disaster, because there was a Quarterback Club 99 on N64 and some golf game, just run-of-the-mill golf game. And they were priced at $20. People think they have stuff, but they don't always have stuff.
They don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So they think they're aware, and they think it, but it's... So I think it is the internet, and it's giving people access to information, which is awesome. To a certain extent, you know, if people think they have crazy stuff and they don't, good luck selling it. But I don't think it's ruining it. I think it's just changing, obviously, and it's, I don't know.
I mean, I think whether the internet was a thing or not, let's just, you know, wonder, you know, if it wasn't, which is weird to think about, but it wouldn't just the passing of time mean that, what you were finding in 2000 for the NES, it'll be more expensive just because of supply and demand in 2023, because how many NES games have been thrown in the dumpster?
There's less of them.
House fires, whatever. You know, there's less of them in circulation, and there's more people. The more people that collect, I mean, there's more or less in circulation, right? Because they're on shelves somewhere.
So this can apply to more than just video games. Anything back in the day in like 2000 is going to be cheaper than it was for the most part than it is now, just because there's less of them. Freaking, I collect vinyl records, dude. They're probably more expensive than they were back then. It's just everything goes up in price, you know, because of inflation and all this stuff. There's a supply and demand. Well, and also, depending on what the hobby is, we're talking about video games, but video games are so popular right now.
Yeah.
Like, they're so popular, so obviously more people are out hunting for them, so then the demand is going up, you know?
You know, back in the early aughts, when a lot of people got into the hobby and it was different, you know, there wasn't these conventions, there wasn't this fandom around it. That's, I think, the main change, is that it's became more, and I don't know, maybe YouTube's part of the influence, but it's became more mainstream. We've gotten, all the kids that grew up with that stuff now have disposable income, or most do, and they're wanting that nostalgia. You weren't super nostalgic for the NES in 2000, because it wasn't that far behind you.
No.
You wanted the PS2. His time has passed, and I think we see this right now. We've talked about 360 being so cheap in PS3. Bet your ass that stuff 20 years from now is going to be a lot more expensive than it is right now. So you got to like pick your battles and when you jump in, which that's kind of a different topic. But So, I do think, I don't know what your thoughts are. We've obviously seen that YouTubers can post a video and a video game goes up, even in the micro.
Yeah.
In price overnight, whether it's a hidden gems video,
if
whatever.
a big YouTuber talks about a game, it's going to go up in price because people are going to be aware of that game. He's raising awareness, and obviously he has a ton of followers, or somebody has a ton of followers, and they're like, "Oh, let's go buy that." It's not going to. Obviously, it will spike for a little bit, but then it's going to go back down. You know, like, just settle down. It might not go back to exactly what it was, but it's just wild. And I wouldn't say that's ruining it. I think the word is awareness. There's so many, like, especially like a hidden gem video. I bet if that video never existed, you would have never played that game. You would have never, even if, yeah, you may have spent $40-$50 on it, but if that video never would have came out, you probably never would have heard of it, and you never would have played it, and maybe it's now your favorite game of all time. It might be. That's awesome.
That's the main way I think about this whole thing, is it illustrated perfectly by what you just said. Is, for me, I've always loved video games. I've got a encyclopedic knowledge of stuff. I was the kid every time the Game Pro magazines came into our school library. I was reading them. And there's stuff that I have found where I'm saying, they're not, YouTubers haven't ruined my hobby. They've enhanced it. There are so many games I would have never freaking played. I just think, the other night, Megadan29 streamed Fortified Zone. It's a top-down run and gun, almost kind of a Zelda-esque run and gun game that's 2-player on the Game Boy, which is pretty rare. I would have never probably found that game.
Ever. I bet if you looked up best run and gun games, best Zelda-type games on the Game Boy, that it might not even be on a list. So then if you are getting into that and collecting for it and looking up those types of lists of top games, that game might not even be on there. But because another YouTuber streamed it, you go, oh wow, that game looks really cool, let me get it, and you're like, this game's awesome.
Yeah.
Awareness. There's so many games that that I've learned about, especially within the last 5 years that we've been doing a channel, that I would have never played or never given a chance to, that are now some of my favorite freaking games, just because I heard someone talk about it, or someone was like, you've never heard of this? Check this out. It's just different perspectives, and different people grew up playing different things. I grew up playing a ton of PS2, but there's no way I could have played every freaking game. So I think it's so awesome to be a gamer now with access to the internet, so you have access to all this awareness to find these awesome games that would have missed out on.
Now you're connected to thousands or millions of fellow gamers. When we grew up before the internet, the only conduit you had was if it wasn't at the rental store or the friend down the road didn't have it, you probably didn't hear about it.
You didn't know it existed. Yeah, exactly. And what's really cool is, because of the internet, we're reaching out and we're connecting to people that are across the pond or from different countries that grew up playing different style of games, and being like, oh wow, I never would have thought about playing like a PAL region only game, but now I'm like really interested in that. Or like Japanese games. It's like, dude, when you're a kid, you're like, you don't even think about that stuff exists. And now you can look up gameplay of it, you can look up at all this stuff, and it's just, I think it is so awesome. Obviously, it's a super popular hobby. It is crazy. There are dumb things, but if you're getting upset about the prices, I don't get it, dude. I think now is the best time to be a gamer because of the awareness, so fun, dude.
And
it's absolutely insane.
I think that if that's the price of poker, if I have to pay $25 for a game that was otherwise $7, but I never would have paid $7 for it because I never would have freaking known about it.
Never would have known about it.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And it just sheds light on a lot of stuff that, and then there's that, so that's more the awareness side, right? And then there's those other YouTubers, right? The scummy, sleazy, resellers.
Resellers. Ooh.
Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. That, I think that pocket of people is kind of under attack as well, as far as they're ruining the hobby. And I can only speak from experience, but I'm just going to use Retro Rick as an example. I have learned so much, and I was already doing what Retro Rick does on my side hustle. Yeah. But just DVDs and VHSs, and not just him. You apply this to so many other channels.
So many hundred.
I just watched a Collector's Luck video the other night that I would have never picked up Just Dance 2019 on Xbox 360, and that's like a $40-some game.
That's insane.
The awareness, though, is so valuable because I have been able to leverage that knowledge, being a shitty, shady, sleazy reseller, to keep my hobby fun and not be breaking the bank.
Yeah, I think you gotta change the way you collect things. Obviously, yeah, back in the day you could have got a bunch of stuff for cheap and it was fun. You could spend your side money on it and it'd be great. But nowadays, yeah, it's a little bit more expensive. You gotta maybe put some more work in. You gotta flip your way to do it so you're not breaking the bank. The hobby's evolved and changed, and I think that's part of it now. And it is fun, and I don't get why reselling is shady. And this could be a whole different episode, but I don't understand why people think it's so shady. I think it's just, if people are willing to pay that much, we're not forcing anybody to buy it, but if people are willing to buy it for that, and you found it for cheap, what's wrong with that? And then you're able to get something that you want. They got something that they wanted. You're able to get something that you want.
I think you're super, super, super silly, and you're probably lying to yourself. If you've ever bought a box full of PS2 games and a PS2, and you didn't pluck out what you wanted and either trade it in for money or resell the stuff to then get something else. I mean, why would you keep 20 games? If there's 20 games and only 5 of them you either don't have or want to play, why wouldn't you turn the other 15 games into another few games that you do want to play?
That you do want to play, yeah.
I don't know, man. And you know, that whole... Yeah, that could be a whole other rabbit hole, but I guess I'm getting that there's 2 different styles of YouTubers that I think people think are contributing to this problem. It's the ones that talk about the games or do like the hidden gems videos, etc., and then the folks that are showing that you can make money off of this stuff.
Which is just going back to the awareness, which is, dude, hunting videos have so much value because you can keep your eyes peeled for shit at thrift stores, garage sales that you can flip, you know, and be able to buy these games. It's just awareness. Yeah. I don't get it, dude. And I think every hobby is getting, like, if you collected cards back in the day, it was probably way cheaper, but now it's a lot more expensive.
Yeah, because it's popular.
Because it's popular, dude. It's like, so I collect rubber ducks, and they're super cheap because nobody collects rubber ducks. But let's say, maybe, rubber ducks become super popular. People start collecting them like crazy. Yeah, it's going to suck for me because I can't find them as often. They're not going to be as cheap. But that's awesome that my thing that I enjoy is now popular. I can share with people. I can be like, oh, you know about this duck, you know about this duck. The awareness will be cool. It's just, I think that's fun, you know, and then you can talk about it with people. You know, I don't know.
I just don't understand, you know, like, I just think we demonize this information, but then we'll use it in other ways. You know, like, if it,
they pick their battles.
This is a weird juxtaposition, but, you know, I don't think YouTubers are ruining the video game hobby, just like I don't think that do-it-yourself mechanic videos are killing the mechanic down the road.
Yeah.
It's awareness. Maybe it's a little different. Maybe they have to charge more for their services, but we all have this stuff. We've all got these freaking computers in our pocket. Is pricecharting.com, where you can look up the price of video games, is that killing the hobby? Or does it help you maybe pick up Just Dance 2019 for the Xbox 360 and sell it for $40?
Yeah.
Because you would not have picked that up.
No, you wouldn't. I guarantee we've walked past it so many times at garage sales because it's Just Dance. And I go, Just Dance sucks.
I think you've already said it, but I think it's all about one's perspective.
Yeah.
I think if you truly, in your heart of hearts, and I'm not trying to change anybody's mind, because you probably, once people put their stake in the ground, they like just tethering themselves to it and not moving, even if good points are made. But I gotta think the people that are saying it's ruining my hobby or ruined my hobby, I bet you there's at least a fistful of games you would have never played had YouTube not existed.
Yes.
And that is where I think we rest our case, is that I just think it has enhanced. I am having more fun collecting in 2023 than I've ever had in my entire life.
Yeah, exactly, dude, because I'm learning about all these amazing games that I never would have heard about. I never would have played. Because of YouTubers, because of watching videos, because of being like, oh, awareness. I'm now aware of this series or this franchise. And if you're if you're watching videos of like, oh, hidden gems on 360, that's awesome because I never would have found it, and that stuff is usually cheap. So you can niche down to the cheap stuff. I just think people jump to the extreme, and then they just stand there and complain, and it's just like, dude, you're letting this ruin it for you.
I mean,
why would you want something that you like ruined? I don't get it.
I mean, I think it's just the lens you look at it through, you know? When you started collecting NES games, there wasn't these badass conventions everywhere, where even if you maybe can't afford the stuff, you can see it. And it's there, you know, the CIB with the manual and the consoles all in the box.
Yeah, dude, sometimes it's just fun to go to conventions and being like, wow, I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna buy it, but it's fucking wild that I'm seeing this with my own eyes.
Like, oh my god, it's a Game Boy sewing machine. Really cool.
Really
Don't
cool.
want one.
No. But a Panasonic GameCube. That is awesome.
Yeah.
So cool to see. Oh, I can touch it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awareness.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I'm not gonna buy it because it's crazy expensive.
Yeah.
But I was able to see it.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's where this whole topic resides for both of us. I just can't understand that flip side of it. I just know how much it's helped me and led me to games I would have played. It's helped make me money to buy games because of just the knowledge. I love it.
Yeah.
I freaking love it. And
I think it's the best it ever has been.
And I'm not even from a perspective of I think we're a small enough YouTube channel. I don't think we impact stuff. I'm not sticking up saying I don't feel this way, I guess is what I'm getting at, because we're YouTubers. It's not that. No. I'm speaking from a video game fan and a collector fan who enjoys going out hunting from this stuff. That's the guy talking right now, not the YouTuber.
No, because as a casual fan of watching YouTube, you know, when I'm watching other channels, I'm just a watcher, you know? So then I'm basically just like you right now watching us. I'm just a watcher and being like, oh, wow, you talked about that game? That looks freaking awesome. Let me look up gameplay. Oh, how much is it? Hell yeah, let me get it on eBay.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I think it's a fantastic time to be into video games because it's so popular. You can talk to anybody about it. You can learn about it.
Yeah.
Anything you want to know, you can type it into Google. There's probably Reddit forums. There's YouTube videos about it. It's just
and it no longer has
so awesome.
The stigma of like you're the booger eater in the parents' basement. You know, because I play video games.
Video games are cool.
Yeah,
now. You could be a cool kid, way into video games, learning about games, talking about games.
Yeah.
As a gamer, isn't that what you want? Don't you want this hobby to be known about and talked about? And
maybe not. Maybe some people don't.
That's wild to me. I love it.
Yeah.
Now is such a great time to be a gamer.
For
sure.
It
is so much freaking fun. So
anyway, let us know in the comments section. Is our perspective Looney Tunes? What is your perspective? Are you letting YouTubers ruin your hobby? Or maybe you blame them. I would say blame yourself for letting that happen. But I digress. This was a fun chat.
Yeah.
Let's keep it going.
I just don't understand how people can feel that way. I guess I'm just... Maybe you have too much time on your hands.
I don't know.
Maybe you need to go play video games.
Yeah. We appreciate you tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time right here on the one and only Gaming Off the Grid.